Imagine writing such good copy and articles that you don't need SEO to rank. Hi, I'm Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast, and today I'm speaking with Faith Hanan, who is a Jesus lover, wife, barrel racer, worship leader, accidental SEO expert, copywriter, podcaster, and wrangler of tiny humans. She podcasts over at Simple SEO and Marketing, where she shares very shoot ya straight type, very practical tips on how to scale your online business using SEO, keywords, and blogging. In this podcast episode, Faith and I talked about some common SEO mistakes that people make. Then Faith shares 2 top SEO tips most site owners need to know. We also open up the discussion around why Google hates AI-driven content and why humans do as well, and what's going to happen with this AI content and Google, and what happens if Google starts to rank AI content. Will it be its demise or will it not? So it's an interesting discussion that we have based on humans first. We also talk about how to write good copy in your blog posts and why stories are good to use, but how they should be used, and there's a double-edged sword here with stories, how they should be used and how they should be optimized to actually add value. I have some examples, and then also Faith has some examples there as well. We also talk about what you should include in your blog post so your business can actually make more money. Now, in this episode, I also talk about my email list and how people absolutely love my stories and being on my email list. I personally treat my email list like social media. It's so much value, fun stories about sharks and surfing and all the life lessons and the philosophical things that I think about in business and outside of business and how it relates to business. There's a lot of value. So if you guys want to get on that email list, head to buyingonlinebusinesses.com/free resources. Opt into one of the free resources. You'll get some value there, but you'll get a lot of value from being on the email list. So check that out. Now enjoy the podcast episode. Faith, welcome to the Buying Online Businesses podcast.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Jaryd. I appreciate it so much.
So let's just dive straight on in. You've said you've checked out a bit of my content, not too much because you've been so busy with something we're going to be talking about shortly, which is exciting. I asked you before off air, have you ever bought or sold a website or been a part of a transaction before? But now that you said to me you didn't realize it was a thing you could buy and sell sites. What's your now that you've seen this as a new world, what's your take on it?
Well, gosh, I just think it's so cool that somebody can, first of all, I think online business is amazing, right? How cool is it that I can be sitting in my little office in Oklahoma doing something that is going to bless somebody in Australia, or, that we can even have this conversation. I know it's dating myself a little bit, but I remember life before the internet was part of my everyday life. Yeah. So just even the fact that you can have an online business is still so amazing to me. And then the fact that you could buy an online business that's already in existence, take that and scale it is just, it's mind-boggling to me. But I also am I have no idea how to do that because I've just always been a builder. I'm a starter. I'll start the stuff.
Yeah, which is awesome because we need more people that are good at starting like you. A lot of people start sites to sell them. They just try and get a lot of articles ranked, on a blog, and they don't really put in good SEO structure and frameworks and, site structure and stuff like that. And we're always looking for better sites to buy rather than things that have a lot of work that needs to be done to them. But you're right. I'm grateful every day that we can work from home and still make a massive contribution to people. It's quite a blessing, really. Yeah. So most people are going to listen to this. They've either bought a site or they're about to buy a site, and they're going to be thinking about what can I do to optimize this site as quickly as possible that are some sort of low hanging fruits. I know it's site dependent, but what are your sort of 5 things or 5 to SEO go-tos that people can fix on their blogs when they come to you and say, hey, Faith, I'm looking to ramp this thing up and get more traffic? What are the most common things that you give them, things that they can do that are low hanging fruit they could do, in a short period of time?
Yeah, for sure. So, honestly, the first thing is not even an SEO thing, because in my brain, you can have all the people in the whole wide world coming to your website, but if they hate it when they get there or it's unclear when they get there, it doesn't make any difference. The number one thing that I always tell people, I just coached a client today, is to improve the above the fold copy. because we have less than 5 seconds to catch somebody's attention and let them know, can we help them with their number one problem, and are we clear? And sometimes I feel like because we're in the industry and we know what we're doing, we know the things, we know what we think people need, right? We're way up here and they're like down here, like, just get me this quick win. Sometimes we get a little bit highfalutin in our language and use fluffy language in our above the fold, like, change your life, feel better. Like, no, like, help me lose 10 pounds, like whatever that thing is that you do. And so I really feel like if you can do nothing else but improve the above the fold copy and be abundantly clear, straight and to the point, then you're going to get people's attention, because they're going to know right away whether you can fix their problem or not. Because if people come to your website, they need to know if you're for them or not. So that's the number one thing, the very first thing that I think somebody should do. And then the second thing is, I'm going to get into SEO stuff, is to put keywords, the right keywords in your H1 text on each page of your site. Because so many sites that I go to and so many client sites, I look at the headings map and I'm like, there's nothing anywhere. Like, Google has no idea what's going on here, because it's like, there's what keywords? You just have a picture of yourself and say, have a nice life. Like, that's all Google sees when they're scanning these websites. And so, just including the right keywords and the right keyword sizes for your business in H1 text on every page is going to be phenomenal for your SEO tips, improving that. Yeah. So those are the top two. I've got more, but you look like you have a question.
Yeah, I do. I love how intuitive you are, just picking up on this. I want to break down those two things. They don't have to be too rigorously, but when you say above the fold text, you're talking, am I clear on this, that you're talking about on the homepage above the fold text? And it's not just, and when you mean straight to the, like, when you say not too fluffy language, do you mean work out what your audience actually wants and just have that as your tagline or your quote or what your site's about above the fold? Is that what you're
Yep. And honestly, I coach clients to really focus on the above the fold text on every main page on their site, like their services or their about page and all of that. But just
category pages.
Pardon?
Category pages, hub pages.
Maybe it just depends on how much time they have, and how much effort. But when I say, so have you read Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh. So good.
I do know a lot about stories and for branding though.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite books ever as far as business books. But I mean, he just goes into so much more of the science behind the above the fold text and how he calls it the caveman test. Like, the above the fold text on your page needs to pass the caveman test, like, just stupid simple. Some of the best above the fold phrasing that I've worked with clients is like, we get to, I mean, it's what I spend the most time with on copywriting clients, but it's like we probably have to come up with 20 iterations of that above the fold phrase to really feel like it's something that hits home and speaks abundantly clear. But when you really nail it, it's going to be something that you're like, this is so stupid simple. Like, those are the best, because it's not going to, it doesn't take brain power for somebody to understand.
Yeah. Do you ever have your clients do a quiz or a collect data from, their audience to ask them what their goal is, what they want, what they don't want, and then get a few keywords that are most prominent, most people's answer, and then use like 2 to 3 or 4 of those and use that in the above the fold text? This is what I've done. This is what we do. Is like this is a copywriting thing, right? It's like get people to fill out a form or do a quiz, and they can get a prize, or you can give them a free training or something like that for filling it out, and then you work out what they actually want. And then you can share with them, and you can also adapt your products and your services to give them exactly what they want and need as well. Is that a thing that you feel is a good thing for people to do when they're first starting out, or is it just too much overwhelm at the start?
I mean, it all depends on the person, right? And their bandwidth, because some people are overwhelmed with, too many different colors, and other people are like, let me jump in full force, go big or go home. Obviously, like, market research is something that is just, so just priceless for growing a business. But I also I always want to distinguish, I call them verbiage keywords versus typed keywords, because sometimes the words that are coming out of people's mouth that they will identify with and that are really going to tug at their heartstrings for that purchase, they're different very often than the keywords that they're typing in that are going to influence our SEO strategy.
Gotcha.
But, as business owners, we have to integrate, both the SEO aspect of things and the fact that we're dealing with human beings and we're serving human beings. So we need to create content that's human focused, like people focused first, and then optimize for SEO. So I actually I have 2 categories of keywords in my brain for my business and for my clients.
I love it. You've just opened a can of worms with the optimizing content for humans first versus SEO. Have you seen much about what's happening with the AI sort of different content creation tools and, the GPT sort of stuff? Do you know much about that?
Just kind of on the back burner, but so I like writing. I enjoy writing. So for me to just think about outsourcing that to a computer, I'm like, that's dumb. I did play around with it a tiny bit in Ubersuggest because they have a new AI content writing tool. And I had a client that was asking about it. And she's like, is this any good? So I just played around with it. And I'm like, meh. But to me, that's going to create really generic content. And that's not going to connect with people, right? People connect with people. And the clients that I've had, they're like, we love you because you talk about dogs and poop and the stupid things that you did. And I'm like, no computer is going to write that for me.
Yeah. It's more humanized and personalized and more, this is a part when you talk about story branding is you can weave that into, you weave your story into the value, not just an AI going, these are the things that you need to know to build this, or to do this, or because the reason I ask this is because we get a lot of in our community paid membership, people are asking what's going to happen in a couple of years when everything's just AI content and Google's going to rank that. And my take is that Google wants users to be happy. And that's what they optimize their algorithm for, is for human beings, not for SEO, not the other way around. And I think too many people get caught up in the technical thing of SEO and it needs to have this, and this, and this. And all of that science weeds out the art form of it and the beauty that humans actually want, but we don't realize we want it. We just want to read something great. If people on Google are only going to get AI content and it's just pretty bland and there's no humanness to it, then Google's going to have less people searching, which Google's has less ad revenue and less of their business goes down the drain. So that's the thing that I like to speak to, is that a lot of people may be worried about all these things are going to take over. But if Google optimizes for humans and they only exist because humans exist and have things to type in and search, and humans go, well, this AI content sucks and it's not humanized, we're not going to search it anymore, then Google has no business. So they're not going to rank the AI content as well as the human content. Do you feel that's the thing?
Well, and we might see the pendulum swing the other way for a month. If there was a way to track AI content gets seen versus human content globally, maybe we see the pendulum swing the other way for a month, and then people will stop clicking on those websites with AI content. Because I know I've clicked on some that I'm not maybe AI content, but content that was written clearly just for SEO. And then you click it and you're like, this does not even answer my question. This was the biggest waste of 5 minutes of my life. And I never go back to that website again. Versus I would rather create content and have my clients create content that, so what, it ranks 7th or 8th or 10th, but somebody's going to come back to it again and again and again because you answered their question and you served the person on the other side of that screen.
Yeah, I love it. We'll push that back away because we've already opened that up, and I think we're pretty clear on that. I'm glad you're on the same page. Google's going to optimize for us humans, so it's not going to weed us out, which is the cool thing, because business would be then so damn boring, and the internet would be so damn boring. Could you imagine how boring it would be?
Wow.
So above the fold, and then you got keywords in the H1s. What are some dumb SEO mistakes people make that you see? They come to you with their blog and they're like, cool, I've done all of these things. Isn't this great? Are you sort of like, oh no, that's a bit of a mistake. We need to fix this or clear this up. What are some of the common ones that you see that people make?
Well, most of them I know because I made them. But really, so I see a lot of clients / I did this as well. You write content based on what you want and what you think people are searching, and use verbiage that you think is working. When in reality, nobody phrases it like that except maybe you and your mama, because she taught you how to talk. Or like I see a lot of people make the mistake of not using their H2 text strategically in their blogs. So they've got a great title, but that's the only place that keyword is in that carries any weight, And so, I mean, I just remember thinking, oh, I've written all this stuff. Why isn't it ranking? And like, oh, well, because you're not using keywords strategically, or they'll write blogs, but they're just writing blogs to blog and not actually creating content that people are searching, which, I'm a writer. I get that. I like to journal. I like to write for fun. I mean, it's cool, but nobody's searching my journal entries. They're searching things that solve their problems.
Yeah. And I feel with the H2s, just for people listening, H1 is your main title, and then you have your H2, which you you could call them your subtitles, but on each, and you have different ones for each, I would say, paragraph or a couple of paragraphs. But the cool thing about the H2s is it's the opportunity to add your keywords in, which makes it easier for Google to find keywords on the page, but also it breaks up the content and it allows people to see it's easier to read rather than just like a big text that's like, I mean, the Bible's great, but it's hard to read. Like it's not the most user-friendly thing. And then you got, if you had subheadings and stuff, you'd be like, okay, this is cool. I know what this bit's about. And then you can go through the copy a lot quicker. Do you find that those H2s actually help people to, and I want to get onto copy because copy is a big part of what you do, helps people to write better copy if they start with H2s first?
I don't start with H2s first. So here's my process, and it's a little bit backwards from probably what it should be. Because I like to create based more on inspiration than actual research first. So I'll create based on inspiration and connection points and for the person. And then I'll go back and I'll optimize for SEO. So like I'll have this idea, I've got this content, or, my client has a content idea. We'll create the content and then we'll go back and we'll optimize those H2 and really create an optimized title using keywords in those H2, subheadings. And for me, it was really hard to kind of get over the whole breaking text up because I have a minor in English. Like I'm used to the, formatted, all of my T's dotted and I's crossed, and somebody cares about my typos and my spelling errors. I'm getting knocked down for that. Not that it made me do any better, but I did try. And so to like make that mental shift from like, oh, like people skim blogs, they don't read every word. And so if you make it hard to get the main points, like they're gone.
Yeah, you got to realize that people, when they pick up a book, they're prepared mentally to read the book for how it is, versus when you're on the internet, you're either wasting time or being super productive. Most of the wasting time is on the social apps.
Right.
Being super productive is like, I need an answer yesterday for how do I fix this, or how do I do this in my life, rather than like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and have a cup of tea and read a blog post. I'm not sure if too many people do that. I know for myself, it's not me, but
yeah, not me either.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting down to read with a cup of tea, it's a book. It's a real book.
Yes, physical book. So that brings us and beckons the question on, how do people write better copy for their blog posts so they're actually, the content doesn't just rank, but people read it? I know that you said you've got to have it broken up, but what are some of your copy tips?
So one of my main things is, if you don't watch American Westerns, you may not use this term, but it's just to get to the rat killing. Like, just get to the rat killing. Like, quit beating around the bush.
Get to the point.
Get to the point. Like, everybody loves, finding recipes online, but I hate reading somebody's life story about what their cat ate that day and their favorite outfit before they give me the recipe. Give the people what they came for. Like, Yoast is a great plugin on WordPress. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but Yoast literally gives you the green light if you have 300 words or more. Like, you don't have to write a blog that is 5,000 words long to rank. You really don't. Like, just, for a recipe, like, just how many cups of flour do I need? Yes. Do I have enough to make these cookies at 11 p.m.? Like, just tell me, And so people, like, get to the point, be clear, write like yourself, because again, If we wanted AI generated content, we would go read AI generated content. Like, use your voice, write like yourself. Use free tools like Grammarly to spell check, edit with fresh eyes. I'm a terrible editor. So I have to pay somebody to edit my client work for me because I'm like, I don't pay somebody to edit mine. It's like, if it is what it is, what it is. But I pay somebody to edit client work. So edit with fresh eyes, use Grammarly, get to the point, and then don't be afraid to tell people what you told them again in a new way, because we are all inundated with so much information. We have more content coming at us than ever before in human existence. And so we need to hear something more than once to retain it. So it's okay if you have to reiterate a point or shore up a point. And remember, people are skimming your blog anyway. They're probably not reading it word for word.
Yeah. And the more fluff you have, the more they're going to skim, and the more they're going to miss when you finally get to the point in like a hidden way in one of the paragraphs. It's like halfway through the page, and like, all right, this is a great waste of time. Like, thanks for wasting my time. And then
and stories are still good. Like, use stories, but keep the user in mind, the reader in mind for everything that you communicate, whether it's your homepage copy, like how are you solving their problem, or whether it's a blog post about your cat, like how does this affect this person, and have a servant's heart about it, really.
Yeah. And I use stories in my emails, and a lot of people that are on my email list, majority are right back and like, damn, that was a good story. Damn, your emails are really good. Like, we get a lot of replies, and it's because the stories are super short, super condensed. And I start the story in the middle of the action when shit hits the fan, and like, the cat's like just about to just it's like he's got the bird in his mouth already,
Yeah.
And people, it just grabs attention, and then it loops straight into a learning or value. And I just think if people learn how to write stories, loop it straight into value, and then add a story, and the story can keep going. You could have a 5,000 word story and have like 30 good points of value that just really ride the point home, that people fully enjoy that piece of content because it's a 5,000 word story, but they're learning so much, and they're engaged, and it's entertainment. Good luck, AI. Like, how does AI compete with this?
Right. I love that.
So what would be your second biggest copy tip?
Are we talking like, do you want to talk about, copy as far as like SEO friendly copy, or the speaking to people copy?
Speaking to people copy.
Be clear. Just be clear. Yeah. Like I don't even know how many times I tell people to be clear, but just be clear, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to sell. Don't be afraid to sell.
And so for people that, let's expand on that. What do you mean by don't be afraid to sell?
Well, I think a lot of people have the fear of sounding like a used car salesman, where you're trying to push somebody to buy something that's not actually a good product, and they're going to hate it, and then they're going to hate you. Like, we have this fear of selling, and it's kind of ingrained in our culture because, we just feel like we get sold to all the time, from those late night infomercials selling us those things that don't work, to the used car salesmen that are trying to peddle us a lemon car that's going to break down in 5 miles. But in reality, when you truly believe in the product that you have or the service that you offer, I think that you are doing a disservice to not confidently sell, because I believe in what I do. I believe in the people that I do it for. And so if I shy back from selling, I am doing them a disservice and not helping them with the gift that God has given me to serve others with.
Yes, that is so good. I got a story to really back that up and emphasize that. I used to be a part of a business group, and they used to post people's results in this Facebook group, and there was a lot of people in Australia, and I had like, I just did really well at the start of my journey, and I got a lot of comments and feedback on the success I had in a few months. And then people were reaching out to me and saying, hey, Jaryd, like, and we're doing phone sales and stuff like that. People were saying, how I've got all of these leads, I just don't feel like calling them. What keeps you motivated? And I would just do, a bit of a public service and get on the phone to people and, kick them in the butt really, and say, look, people have reached out and said, please help me. Here's my phone number and email. Contact
Mm-hmm.
me so you can help me. And here
Mm-hmm.
you are thinking, oh, I don't know if they want to hear from me. You're doing
Mm-hmm.
them a massive disservice. They're literally saying, help me, help me, help me. Here's my
Mm-hmm.
number, call me. And you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to call the leads. But
Mm-hmm.
if you translate that into your blog,
Mm-hmm.
people are on your blog to learn something and get value. And they're like, I have to solve a problem. And deep down, they're like, help me, help me, help me. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
do that selling in your blog, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
run off and buy somebody else's product that it sucks. And they're going
Right.
to loop around, come back to the journey and be like, damn, I wish I had bought your thing sooner if you had just sold it to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right, right. And you've got to give people multiple places to buy, and you need to
Mm,
make buying easy, which as a service provider, like when I do coaching and, copy work, like just the back end of that is sometimes a little bit clunkier than like press a button, send me the thing, like Amazon. And
mm,
so, some of that with the service provider, like you have to work through whatever software you're using to try to make that easy. But like, what's that quote? Like, people hate being sold to, but they love to buy, and it's like, just make it easy. Like, I shouldn't have to click around to 900 different places on your website to figure out how to give you my dollars. Like, make it easy, make it clear, make it, buy now buttons like sprinkled throughout. And
mm.
don't be afraid to talk about the benefits of purchasing.
Is that such a really good thing? People hate being sold to, but they love to buy. And you're
Mm-hmm.
saying make it easy to buy. Maybe to add to that is like make it less salesy. Like just like you
Mm-hmm.
said, get to the rat killing, get to the
Mm-hmm.
point. It's like, oh, and by the way, this is the product that like hundreds of people have used and it's helped them with this. If you want it, get it.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than
Yeah.
like, here's a landing page with 20,000 words of like, if your back feels like it's going to break every time you stand up, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think, so I love podcasting and I love blogging because it allows you to bring value in a free way
Mm,
that people know, okay, like this chick helped me with 900 things for free, and then if you're just blogging, like this person has helped me with all of these things for free, like, gosh, their paid products are going to be so good. And so if you just have that, like in the back of your content creation process, like what value am I bringing for free? And everything you create should bring value, whether it's,
mhm.
making somebody laugh on Instagram or, an email that has stories about cats and tips about how to grow your business,
Yeah, I love it. Talking about social media, I want to talk about the selling products and what you've got
Mm-hmm.
coming out shortly. But talking about social media, people that are bloggers,
Mm-hmm.
how do you advise them to share their content or repurpose some of their content for social media? And like, what sort of schedule do you like? How does that work?
So it's funny that you ask about a schedule, Jaryd, because let me tell you how many craps I give about social media right now. Zero.
Yeah,
That's
same.
just me. I'm just in a place where I'm like, I got 2 kids. I'm working my little tush off. Like,
You're doing
I don't,
you. Yeah.
yeah. And so, like, when I care about social media, like, it's super easy. But when I don't care, I just don't care.
Mm,
But really, I'm a big fan of creating one piece of long form content, whether that is a podcast or a blog or a YouTube video. And
mm,
then taking that and then making sure you're blogging with it as well, because why not? And then
mhm,
repurposing the heck out of that in your social media. Because, like, your introduction that you just spent all of this time crafting, there's not only a caption for a post, but that's also an entire video. That
mhm,
is a Pinterest pin. That's an idea pin. Like, you can take that one introduction and get 5 posts out of it.
mm.
How much more can you take point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5 from your blog and repurpose them across multiple platforms where you've already done the hard work to know that you've created value, and now you're just sprinkling it out there for people to find, because really only 6% of your social media following is even seeing your content anyway. And nobody but your mom remembers what you posted yesterday.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And that's because the algorithms are pretty ferocious on
Mm-hmm.
putting paid content ahead of free content on the social platforms.
Yeah.
So it's still a thing.
Yeah.
What I like about socials is it helps you. It's an image thing that
Mm-hmm.
a brand can have. That like, oh, okay, you're on here and you got X amount of followers. Oh, this is like a
Mm-hmm.
perceived authority, which is like anybody can just build that authority. but it helps sort of emphasize and build the brand. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like it's worth having. For us, like I really dislike social media to a point that I don't open social media apps and go through walls because it's damaging to mental health, short-term and long-term. And I'm all about mental health. And so I have the team, we still on social media, but I have the team repurpose those pieces of content. So if you guys are the same as Faith and I, is like, you can have somebody do this for you too.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have
And,
to
I'm on social media some, like, it doesn't bother me, but like my audience is not, like, my ideal client is not my social media following. So like what I get response to on social media is like not business stuff. It is just strictly like, hey, look at the holes in my socks because I refuse to go buy new holes. Like, it's just stupid crap that is just like human to human stuff that is fun because I make friends, but it's not a huge lead generator for my business, which is fine.
Yeah, different audience. You're not making sales from social media. Tell me about what you've got coming up. Well, it's by the time this airs, it's going to be live. But tell me about your course. I'm excited to hear about this.
Yeah, I'm excited to tell you about it. So I've got a course. It's launching January 5th, and it's called the Organic Marketing Framework. And I'm taking blogging, SEO, and keywords and just breaking them down and helping you lay a framework to generate leads organically using SEO and keywords and blogging. I'm taking my copywriting knowledge as a copywriter, my knowledge as an SEO consultant, and I'm packaging that in a way that you can go through your business in 4 weeks if you choose to go that quickly and really build a sustainable framework for your business, optimize the back end of your website, learn how to blog the right way, and then learn how to repurpose on Pinterest, stress-free social media, and then how to track all of that and really create sustainable workflows.
Love it. And people could have their team go through this with them as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because, I say us, I don't have much of a team yet, but if you're more the visionary for your company and you have somebody that's more on the integrator side or VAs, like, they need to know this. Like, you probably need to know it too, so that you can cast the vision. What good would it be if I'm like, no, you can't have your VA go through this when they're the one that they're going to be doing it.
Yeah. I think you're spot on. Every visionary and leader should understand what the team is doing or their VA is doing, so they're just not taking the mickey, and at least they're going to learn SEO and blogging practices in the course. It's great to understand that. So even if you are using a content agency, you can say, oh, like, I like that practice, I don't like this practice, let's weigh it up. What's worth doing and what's not doing. Yeah. Faith, that's awesome. I'm excited for you. I hope it just crushes it. If people are interested, where can they check out that and more about what you're doing?
So I'll give Jaryd my links, but my website, faithhanan.com. I'll have all the things, courses, coaching, and copywriting linked there. And then my podcast is Simple SEO and Marketing, because I don't believe that SEO should be complicated or that marketing should take your entire life to figure out. And my course will be there at the Organic Marketing Framework or Organic Marketing Framework, and I'll have links to buy and payment plans and all that.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. Guys, check that out. There'll be links in the show notes. Everybody is listening. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thank you so much, Jaryd. I appreciate it.
Hey, YouTube watcher, if you thought that video was good, you should check out this video here on the 2 best types of websites beginners should buy. Or check out my playlist on how I made my first 100K from buying websites and how to do due diligence. Check it out. It's an awesome playlist. You'll enjoy it.